y'all. Welcome to the Family Empire Houston panel. It's me, Treese, and your good girl, Really Big.
Really be.
And yes, we are missing one of our co-hosts. She is out for the night, so we're sending her blessing. She had a family emergency, but yeah. So, me and Really B was just talking about this before we got into it, and we're really ready to get into this episode because it was a lot to unpack.
Right.
So yeah, y'all. If you haven't already, do what y'all do best. Hit that like button. Let the algorithm do what it do. Let everybody know we here. So they can come on in. And y'all, we're gonna get into it, and we're gonna get shady. All right. So you good to go, Really B? Just make sure.
Okay, no, yeah. I don't know what I did the first time, so I'm good. I was making sure I wasn't on both channels, but it doesn't look like it. So
All right. So yeah, welcome, y'all. We're here to get into episode 6 of the Family Empire Houston. Now, as we know, we pick up where we left off. The family is still like debating about what to do with the land. Aunt Nikki just decks this conversation, and it's like, you know what? Let's get back to the party. This is not the place to do it. And I kind of agree with her when she said there was 23 different people chiming in. And as Jamisha says later in the episode, too many cooks in the kitchen. And I hate that.
Even right. And then they started adding extra stuff. Like you started talking about beauty salons and the baby, that's not what we're talking about.
I see. So am I the only one that was like, I'm not mad for Monet getting in where she fit in because she does hair. So I was like, she just trying to make sure that it's still like they just don't let it go because it's not important to them, because it's important to her, clearly. So
yes, I wasn't. But what we found out later on in the episode is that there is a plan for the beauty shop. She may not like, because what she said was, I understand that Granny has a plan for the shop, but none of the other aunts act like, nobody else acts like they care about, like, I'm the only one that does hair. So from the perspective of, I just don't want the beauty salon to get lost in the sauce. Yes, I get it. But from the point of view of the land does not have a plan. There's a plan for the beauty salon. You may not like that plan.
Okay. I'm gonna
you bring it, like, I just felt like she thought that was an opportunity for her to just get in. Like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. We talking about everybody getting their dibs in? Well, let me put.
That's why I think she was trying to get in where she fit in.
But it wasn't the right time or the place because one, there's already a plan, and two, we're struggling for this one.
That's true.
We're struggling to get Granny to go along with the get along.
Right.
True.
I hear you. And so basically Aunt Jackie is, feeling the way that she done ended the whole conversation. Then Aunt Joy, which happens to be Nicole's mom, she ends up pulling Lakeisha to the side and asks if she has any questions for her, which I'm gonna be honest, I think you should have just said what was on your mind, because I don't think you really necessarily wanted to hear from her, is my vibe. It was giving me the same vibe when she tried to have that conversation with Nicole on camera and she completely said, stop, we're not doing this. It makes me feel like she wanted to give it to Lakeisha since Nicole wouldn't listen. You may disagree, but so, what'd you say?
No, go ahead, finish. I'm going to cut you off.
Oh, okay. So basically she tells Lakeisha that everything, stems from lies, cheating, and deceit. And she says, I ain't never had no issues with you. It's basically your daddy had 2 girlfriends, and I was upset about that, obviously. And so yeah, she didn't like that. And then brings up the point of Aunt Jackie bringing her into the fold. And she felt like Aunt Jackie should have been more concerned with what was going on in her household versus picking up her brother's kids. And I was like, well, oh, that's nasty. That's a nasty attitude to have, but I get it. We human, ain't nobody perfect. But I just think it was. I mean, I guess it is what it is. If she felt that way, but it's a horrible thing to say out loud. Like,
So this is how I feel about the situation.
hey, Cortland. Hey, Xavier.
Hey, Xavier. One, I do not feel like Nicole's mom would have ever tried to have that conversation had they not been filming this show. She does not care about Nicole's feelings. This is my opinion. This is my opinion. This is my opinion. She does not care about Nicole's feelings. She cares about not looking bad on camera. I do not feel
You
like
mean Nicole's feelings or Lakeisha's feelings?
I mean, Lakeisha, my bad. Lakeisha,
Okay.
my bad.
Yeah, because that's basically what I was saying. I don't think she really cared.
I feel like the only reason why she even attempted to have that conversation is because she knew it was part of what was going to be filmed. It was going to be on TV. And I feel like she is trying to get her point of view out.
I agree.
To me, though, the better opportunity would have been when she went to dinner with Nicole, because that was a friendly audience.
That's true, but clearly it's not friendly because Nicole don't want to rehash it either. She just wants to move on. And I think, as they said, even if nobody said anything to them directly, as kids, we pick up on things. We're intuitive, the generations get smarter. So they were not naive or dumb to what something was wrong. And they could feel the tension between the two parents and households and whatever was going on. So, but
because I did feel like that was real janky. For her to throw at other people's family business out there. We didn't know nothing about Janisha. We didn't know nothing about that. We didn't know anything about that. And that's not part of the story. Listen, that's not part of this story. That young man has not, to our knowledge, we ain't seen him. We don't know. And that's not what this, so I felt like it was kind of like, if my dirt gonna be out there, I'm throwing everybody else's dirt.
And that's, yes, I absolutely agree. She said, if we going to hell, I'm taking everybody with me. Okay.
Right.
Hey, exactly. Lovely Sue Red. Yeah, no. And then so then we see Nikki and Monet walking in because it's the end of the roundup. They were looking for Lakeisha anyway to say bye. And then obviously they see their mother doing what she does best. And so, when Lakeisha and her mother are having the conversation, Nicole jumps in and basically disagrees with Lakeisha and says, my mom has a right to feel hurt as well, which I'm not going to deny. She has a right to feel hurt, but I
disagree.
Ooh, okay. And so, and basically this is why Nicole didn't want to rehash everything, because it's just not, and nobody's moving forward. And clearly we're sitting in this place. But to really B's point, if we're not going to talk about it, clearly because we just been moving past it for all these years, this is why it's still an issue.
So let me clear what I mean when I say I disagree. Mm-hmm. Yes, Nicole's mother has a right to be hurt by what he did to her. But I agree with Lakeisha, and this is the point that I think Lakeisha was making when she said it's the kids, and she was excluding the adults because they were adults. And she made a decision to stay with him after knowing there was a child. So when you made a decision to stay with him after knowing there was a child, then I think that it was effed up that you weren't willing to include the child. Because again, once you found out, you as the adult in the situation, now you have a decision to make. You chose to stay with him, which means you chose to accept the child. I have a problem with that. It would be different if she didn't know, but she knew. And that's what I mean when I say, it's not that when I say she has a right to feel hurt by the fact that her boyfriend, not her husband, but her boyfriend cheated on her. Yeah,
I love how they cleared that up this episode. Remember, we kept asking. I could have really appreciate that, because now we know what it was, and Mama was just mad because she wasn't the only option. And I love how they even said later on in the episode, if it would have been the other way around and he married Lakeisha's mom, they would have still went just as hard for Nicole.
Right, and I appreciate that they cleared up as this was about them getting to know their niece. They weren't taking Lakeisha around Nicole and them. They were bringing her to their house and getting to know her. So again, it wasn't I feel like, and again, it's no disrespect to Nicole's mom. I'm sure it was a messed up situation all the way around, messy
Right.
and all of that. So it's no, I don't want to come off as I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody's mother. But where I'm coming from, or my point of view on it is, the adults made those decisions, and those aunts had every right to want to have their niece be a part of their life. That's how I
Mhm.
feel.
Okay, so now that you say that, I gotta address Xavier's comment. So he said, I feel like Aunt Jackie did this whole Lakeisha thing because she was mad at Frank, Oscar Green's children, or something else. I always love Xavier's point of view. I
But,
do.
okay, where are you getting that from, Xavier? There has been nothing presented that would show that Aunt Jackie has an issue
Issue. You're
with
right.
Frank. That we have not
Right.
seen anything. That's their brother and sister. What it sounds to me is that they knew their brother was a hoe, and their brother was out in them streets, and he was the
Yeah.
one dropping seeds, and they were like, listen, the kids shouldn't have to pay for the fact that my brother is a Rolling Stone. I don't get that at all. I mean, you have a right to opinion, Xavier. You know I love you, boo. But I
Right.
don't see where you're getting that from based on the information that was presented to us. Like, there's been nothing to show that. She said, listen, that ain't how we was raised. That was our niece, and we wanted to get to know our niece and be a part. And again, I could see if they picked Lakeisha up and took her to the family reunion. That's not what they did.
No, and that's what I thought was even crazier was the fact that they really were, and she had such a problem. But I think she's just upset that she was even acknowledged. That's the real it of it all. She was mad that she was acknowledged.
Yeah. So I think a
Xavier
lot was
she was mad.
I don't pay no attention. I appreciate that a lot was cleared up in this episode. A lot of information was given, and I understand. I understand points of view, but I sympathize with the sisters more so than Nicole's mother. I understand.
Right, of course.
I do understand to a certain extent the mother's point of view, but I sympathize more so with everybody else because, again, I just feel like you made a conscious decision to stay in that situation. You decided to stay. And when you decided to stay, I feel like you are choosing to accept. You could have walked away because, again, y'all weren't married.
I do love when Lakeisha said that. She was like, you could have left.
Right. And you could have. You could have left. I mean, I don't know. And see, that's the other part. The part that we don't know is how bad this back and forth went and how nasty it got. Like, maybe, and see, unfortunately, Keisha's mother is not here to really speak for herself, but we don't know. We don't know how nasty it got between those two women. We know how women can get when they fighting over a man child. So we don't know how nasty it got. And eventually, he chose Nicole's mom. So
right,
we don't know. And it doesn't sound like he immediately chose Nicole's mom. No, it doesn't sound like they immediately got married.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Mina,
I feel like they were both girlfriends for a minute.
I don't know. And M Love Black always makes a good point. Why stay if you're gonna emotionally torture yourself in that relationship?
Yeah, I mean, and women do it all the time. You know that there's another child, and you chose to stay.
And what's crazy
is did Lakeisha's mom leave? But that's what I'm saying. We don't know.
And so here's my whole thing: when they because good question, it makes it seem like they still together to this day. The fact that really.
Actually, you know what? Let me rewind. I don't know that for a fact, but yeah, they did walk up in that.
This is when you need somebody from if y'all hiding in the bushes, this is when we need y'all to jump out.
Yeah, they did walk up in the house together. So you're right. I don't know for a fact that they're still together, but they did walk up in that house together. So I don't think they're married at all, to be honest. They just use the husband and wife titles. Oh, see, I don't know.
Cashapp said, "Don't be side piecing and blaming and shaming. Really be."
I don't think either. That's my point, though.
Neither one of them were side piece if he had two girlfriends.
He was right. Neither one of them were side piece, and I bet you they knew about each other before there was babies involved. On both sides. Let's be clear. Lakeisha, I think because Lakeisha's mother is not here to speak for herself, there's, we're not really, putting a
Yeah,
lot.
we can't
But
get the
both
full.
of them, I believe that both of them knew about each other. I believe Lakeisha knew about Nicole's mama, and Nicole's mama knew about Lakeisha's mama. I believe they knew about each other.
Okay, Pink Petals. I can kind of agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe that's what I
Like
believe.
cemetery.
Yeah, neither one of them was, and that's the part that Lakeisha is trying to be clear. Like, listen, my mama wasn't a side piece. He was dating two women at the same time, and both of them had children, and they're months apart. So it's not like
Look, she's like, what you
Lakeisha
got to
was
do.
around for years. Like they are literally months apart. Their birthdays are
Right.
what, 4 months apart or something like that.
Look, she said, you ain't gonna make my mama no coleslaw. That's what we not doing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we not doing.
Okay, that's what we right. We right. The same way you're gonna protect your mom, I'm protecting mine. So I feel like, and I understand where Nicole is coming from. That is still her mother. Like at the end of the day, that's her mama. And I understand that because I would do the same for my mom. But I did feel like when Nicole walked in, the way she just shut it down. Now, granted, I want to be clear, so we got an edited version, so that conversation may have gone on longer than what we saw. But the way it looked like, she was just like, all right, we're gonna wrap this up.
But okay, I'm gonna play advocate in this one because I think that it's like your mama, right? And I'm sure Lakeisha knows her mama to a certain extent, but she don't mind going toe to toe where because she came to her. But I think Nicole was like, I know my mama. She probably getting ready to say something stupid. You know what I mean? Like, let me shut this down because this ain't go. So I think it could have also been that type of situation. You know what I'm saying? When you just know people, because I think that's why she shut her down on camera and was like, I know what you're about to do. Stop. You get what I'm saying? And to your point, every time she gets on camera, every time we've seen her, she wants to share her story, her side of the story. So I think Nicole just always comes in as like, I know what you're trying to do. Calm down. Like, no. Because she's been doing it consistently. So that's just my thought.
Yeah, I agree. I do think it was getting ready to get elevated. So yeah, I agree. And like you said, Nicole know all the people in that room. Like, okay, let me bring it down. Let me bring this thing down before it go back up. Let me bring it down before it go back up. Right. Yeah, I agree. I know for me, I guess for me where I am with the situation, I feel like, and we're gonna get back to it because this keeps coming up throughout the episode. So we can go on to the next scene because it's gonna keep coming up. Yeah.
Right. So then we see Jaquita and Chris, and they go for their little taco date. I thought it was really cute, but then I guess it was like a food truck situation because they definitely got more than taco.
It was called the Food Zone. I'm gonna have to put that on my list of places to go when I'm in Houston.
Okay,
some of that stuff, I was like, oh, I want to try that.
Look, and this is after I got off your live, and you was talking about Keith Lee, and I said, I need to eat. I'm hungry.
Look, you was like, look, you in the chat talking about some girl. Let's go to brunch tomorrow. I'm hungry.
After we get off this live, we're gonna talk. Okay. I got places in mind. Okay. I am hungry.
Okay, girl. Okay.
So anyway, they meet up with Keisha and Caramel for like a little double date. And Quita says she don't really got no issues with Caramel and she wants to get to know her a little better. And we do get to learn a little bit about her. She's from San Diego. And I thought it was really cute because I think Jaquita was under the same impression. Maybe she was just joking, but I think she was under the same impression that I was, that it never rains in Southern California. And mind you, I've been to LA many times and it has never rained. But of course, the first time I went to San Diego, it rained every damn day. Every damn day I was there. So, needless to say, I won't be going back to San Diego. But
it rained you know what's funny? It rained when I was in San Diego too, because I think I remember singing the song.
Right. And I was like, they lied to me. I feel cheated. But anyway. So basically, they get into a little talk about, Caramel lets us know that even though she might have gave up, like, you know what I'm saying, she still like it. She just don't do the real thing. She do, the plastic.
Can I say that damn Jaquita, listen, Jaquita is like me, right?
I love it though, because she just so like straightforward. I love it. I like people who they don't beat around the bush on what they want to say.
Right. Whatever Jaquita is thinking, it come out her mouth, and it is hilarious to me. It is her because they was trying to blame it on. Remember when before they tried to blame it on alcohol, but it doesn't look like it's the alcohol. It looks like that is just
No,
who she
who
is.
she is. Right, right. But then Quita wants to bring up the conversation about with Aunt Joy and be like, oh, what happened? So Keisha's explaining everything, and then she was like, well, hold on. Because she mentioned the whole thing about like you need to worry, somebody need to worry about their household, but she didn't mention any names. And so Jaquita
Now,
catches on
Keisha,
real
I
quick. It's
think you
like,
was
oh, so
being a
you
little.
talking about my mama.
I think you
Now
were being a
she
little
talking about,
messy. Keisha, you were being a little messy. Because you
well,
could have told that story without including that.
see, okay, again, I'm here I go playing advocate, maybe the devil, but I personally thought she did good because she literally did not say her name. Now,
But it could only have been they mama.
I feel
The
like
only
it's
answer is they mama.
true, but I feel like it shouldn't have been said if you didn't want it to be like if you say things like that and you're not gonna put a name on it, you can't get what do they say? A hit dog will always holler. If it
So
did they didn't
here's the
feel like
thing. Cajun, you are a troll. We're not doing this with you. But what I'm saying is this. Here's the thing. I agree with everything you just said. That still don't mean it wasn't messy. Because what I'm saying is, now let's be clear again, and I hate to always say this, but I do have to preface that some of my opinions, I understand that production probably told her to say that part, or somebody whispered in her ear, girl, you better include that. I get it. Or
right.
her thing might have been like, I know somebody is on camera. But the flip side is, girl, you knew the only right answer was they mama. That you know that their mother was the one that came and got you. Their mother was the one that had the outside key. Like the only answer was their mama.
Well, no, because didn't they say when they talk about it later on in the episode, don't we learn that the other aunts, they may not have been, but they were also
They were all a
engaged.
part of it, but their mother was the only one that had an outside child.
Right. Okay. Okay. Got you. Okay.
And again, and like they said that their mother, that Quisha and her mother did get the brunt of it. Remember, they said that she said, "I'm sorry that you had to take the brunt. Like I'm sorry. Basically, I'm sorry that you had to kind of get all of the anger,
right,
when it was all of us, because it sounded like all of them was in on it,
right.
but she was the only one at the time. Remember, they said she was the only one at the time that was married, and she was the only one at the time I think that had kids. I don't know. I don't know. They said she was the only one that was married at the time, so maybe that's why she. But I agree. Listen, I agree. I mean, it would have came out. Like it would have still came out. You know, they were all going against Frank's wishes. Well, they had a right to. That was their child. That was their niece. They had a right to.
And especially if they weren't bringing her over the house, they're
I
establishing their own
disagree,
relationship.
Xavier. He said it was messy and wrong. I disagree that it was messy and wrong. Because
Yeah,
again,
no.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was getting ready to probably say because I think that they were trying to establish their own relationship. Now, granted,
Yeah.
if they brought her over the house and then brought her to family functions at Granny's and she was included, I can give you that that's a little bit messy. However, if I'm establishing my own relationship, this is still my family, regardless if you're I cannot co-sign with you on being a fuck boy or whatever you, excuse my language, whatever you was doing. You know what I'm saying? I can't co-sign that. And I think we've all had brothers, fathers, uncles, somebody in our family that we see consistently do women terrible, and you gonna stand by and be like, well, I don't see it. I
Let me tell
can't.
you something. If my brother had children by two different women, and one woman, for whatever, we don't know what the circumstances were. We don't know if Frank chose her or she chose Frank,
Right.
or
If she
Lakeisha's
left,
mama.
yeah.
Right. We don't know what happened, but however it fell down, he stayed with one woman and he wasn't with the other woman. I'm going to tell you right here and right now, I am not going to knowingly sacrifice a relationship with my niece. I'm not going to do that. If I take one niece out, I'm taking them both out.
Especially if her mother is allowing it.
Exactly.
It'd be different if the mother didn't want you to have no parts of her child and you really got to fight to have a relationship. But clearly that was not the case.
Because something Nicole's mother says later on in the episode, I don't want to jump ahead, but something she says later on in the episode that I find that to me told the whole story.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. We gonna
Okay,
get into
well,
it.
when we get there, we'll get there. Okay.
But,
So
yes, but
yeah,
then
yeah.
then we learned that Jaquita and Jamisha do have, I guess, an older brother, um, or something like that. They have an older brother, outside that their dad had outside of the marriage after their parents were married. I think she found out a couple months after they were married, but her mother embraced them. That he was always included. That was, never a thing. So I can understand her not really like I'm not riding with that because that's not how I'm living my life.
Right.
I
And
mean,
right. And you can't even say it's a double standard because I did exactly what I'm doing in this situation. I
right.
embraced when I found out there was an outside child, even though she had just married that man, she embraced it, she accepted it, and he's always been a part of the family.
Right. And by the way, can I just say we learned that Chris has an older daughter, and can I just say she is adorable?
She
She's
is.
adorable. I was like, oh, okay.
The other thing that we found out too in that conversation is that it sounds like, and again, this is my opinion. If I'm wrong, y'all, or if y'all heard it differently, y'all can tell me. Everybody except for Xavier. But because I don't understand what you talk about, Xavier. You say it sounds like the sisters picked a side. I don't understand. If they were building a relationship with both nieces, how does that mean they picked a side? But that neither here nor there. What we also found out is that there were things that were deliberately done to exclude Lakeisha even after she started coming around the family, like family photos and things of
Right.
that nature. Again, like Lakeisha keeps saying, the kids should not have been brought into it.
Mm-hmm.
The kids should not. So when you're saying, oh, we're taking pictures, oh, well, we're going to take just our family now, then you do that when Lakeisha's not around. Like, I'm not saying they can't have their own family pictures, but do that. Don't do that when Lakeisha is there to hear it and see it. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Patient, you better speak a word. You better.
Yes,
Yes.
Cajun. Speak Cajun, yes.
Yes. That's
Right.
what we say.
Right. They picked the side of the child. Exactly, Symmetry. Exactly.
Right. Yeah, no, go ahead, really be. I'll let you take over.
I don't know
It's
what
the
to
hair
say.
shop. It's Monet in the hair shop.
Okay, so Nicole goes down to the hair shop to get a hair did, child, to get Nicole to get her sister to tighten up that bob that got a little wet, and
look, it was
they get
looking
to
a
talking
little like
about right. They get to, right. They get to talking about what happened at the roundup, and we kind of already talked on this about Monet wanting her 2 cents in as far as the salon. And again, I understand this. I understand Monet's concern, feeling like nobody in the family really cares about the salon. And I feel like her fear is that the salon will be sold off, or that the salon will not be, they won't keep up with the salon because they don't care about the salon. And probably the salon really ain't a big money maker. I don't feel, because I mean, not to be mean or nothing, but it looked like they had some older stylists in there that probably, so that salon probably ain't no big money maker. It's probably steady, but it probably ain't no big money.
But okay, I gotta play the devil. In her defense, I think maybe Monet has some ideas, things she wants to implement. You get what I'm saying? I feel like, like I said, if I was down in Houston, out of all the sisters that I see, and I bet she probably doing all their hair, but I would go to Monet. So I would absolutely could see her revamping that and making that like a hot spot and getting some, cute stylists in there and really like bringing in some business. That's just me.
Well, we know Nicole don't go to Monet because we already saw Nicole.
Oh yeah, because we already seen her hairstylist come to her.
And Nicole don't go to Monet because when she walked in there, ain't nobody in there know that girl had a bob, which means she clearly ain't get it done at the salon.
Right. You stupid.
I mean, am I lying? They were like, "Oh, look at you with the bob. Oh, look at you." They ain't know she had a bob.
Look, maybe they weren't dead that day.
So I'm gonna say this. I feel like so then the second half of the conversation was basically back about what happened with Lakeisha and stuff. I feel like we kind of already, until we get to the next part of this, because this part they don't know about the comments that their mama made about their auntie yet. So they really are only just talking about. And here's the thing. And so I will say this. Nicole keeps saying, I don't want to keep talking about it unless we're in a space of moving forward and healing. But here's the part that I think Nicole doesn't want to deal with. You can't heal if we can't come to an understanding of what happened.
Well,
now, that doesn't mean an agreement, because none of us are going to ever agree, because I saw it from my perspective. You see it from your perspective and your experience. You see it from your perspective and your experience. But if Lakeisha never gets a chance to tell them, this is why there's always been a wall. This is why I do the things I do. I feel the way I feel. I say the things I say. Until she's able to say it in a safe space, I'm not saying they need to be arguing and fighting, but until she's able to say it in a safe space, how do they move forward? You see what I'm saying? You can't get to healing until you can get to an understanding. And there is, as we see, there are so many layers and so many parts of this story and so many people involved in the story that there needs to be a place of healing and understanding before, a place of understanding and a common ground, not agreement, but a common ground before they can get to that. Nicole wants to jump over that. And I understand it. It makes her uncomfortable. It's her dad and her mom. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't want to be in a position. And I feel like she doesn't want to be in a position to call her mom out or her dad out, for that matter. You know, right. It is uncomfortable, but if you want to move forward and you genuinely want to get to a good place, then Lakeisha has to feel heard.
I agree. And not even that, but I think that even the women, not necessarily the aunts, but the mother, I think, needs to sit and talk to a therapist as well, get out her issues, not necessarily with them, but just herself, because clearly she can't. I don't know. I just feel like, because even Keisha said the fact that she pulled her to the side, they don't have many conversations, just the two of them. So that lets you know where their relationship, that lets you know where their relationship stands.
Right. She was only going to have that conversation. She was only going to have that conversation because they're filming and it's a part of it's on the show. That is it. That is all. Can I tell y'all? All right. Can I just call a thing a thing? This is my opinion, and I could be wrong. This is my opinion.
Okay, girl. Let us have
it. I feel like Nicole's mother was okay. Like, she accepted that there was another child. She just never wanted to deal with the other child.
Boom. I think that's what it was too. I think if she, and this is so terrible to say, but literally while I was watching it, I said, she's one of those women that would be okay with this man ignoring his whole other child.
I believe that to be true.
She's one of those women. She's one of those women that would live across the street and know that the child across the street is her husband's, and never acknowledge it.
Yep. That's my opinion. And again, I really like this show, and I really like the people on this show. So I don't want Nicole, anybody that might stumble across
right. We're just
feel like it's an indictment on Nicole's mother. I think that, again, we weren't there and we don't know how many layers to this was really happening. But I honestly feel like in her mind, it was like, okay, I want to stay with Frank. So I'm going to accept this child, but I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with the mama. I don't want to, and again, unfortunately, like Keisha said, the kids, though, we were involved.
Right. Hey, Chris.
What's up? What's up, Chris? Chris, when I come to Houston, I want to go to that food zone. You got to tell me where it is.
You just missed that part. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, you got to tell me where it is. That food was looking good.
So I guess we'll get into Bubba's part responsibility in it later as we get.
Hey, cousins.
I know, right? Oh, but look, we're gonna get into that, cousin, because let me tell you, that crawfish. You know, we crab up here. I don't know if I can crawfish.
I've never been a big. I've eaten crawfish. I'm not a big crawfish person.
No, I've eaten it and I like it. Like I'll eat crawfish when I go to New Orleans in like dishes and stuff. But like doing the whole head and I ain't got.
Yeah, I'm doing the crawfish.
I ain't got it there. But yeah. So that was pretty much that. Then we see Jermisha sit down with the aunts about, and talks about how she's been given the assignment. Was it project manager, property manager for the land? If that's how it's gonna go.
Yeah, it was project manager, I think.
Okay. And she brings up that, of course, her sister gonna call her and be like, girl, let me tell you what was said about our mama.
Baby,
And
they didn't even get out the parking lot.
I tell you, in that moment, I look, if that was me and Nels, I wouldn't even picked up the phone. I would have called her when I got to the car, but trust and believe, I would have been look, Keisha would have still been talking and I would have been texting. What she said? What she
Right.
said?
Right. She
Oh, no.
didn't even get out of the parking lot. I said, I ain't mad at you though. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you.
And so basically they, spills the tea on everything that was said by Aunt Joyce or whatever. And so the sister's question, well, which sister is she? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Did I skip ahead? No. So then she sits down and tells the aunts about the whole craziness of it all. And they like, well, which sister is she talking about? I forgot which one that said it, but it was like, y'all know who she talking about. Y'all be playing.
Hey,
y'all be playing coy.
Y'all know it was me. Y'all know she was talking about
Right.
me.
And you know what?
Some crab legs.
I honestly love the way they handled it. I really
do too, because they did not start. They did not just start dragging and dogging. I mean, they felt the way they felt, but I did get an understanding from their point of view. I did.
He said, "Look, crab is expensive."
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, y'all gotta you gotta. It depends on what crab you're doing. Crab legs and actual crab, like whole. We crack the crab out here, okay? We
He's from here. He know.
Oh, I was gonna say we do the whole crab out here, kind of like how y'all do the crawfish. Hey Nels, I see she jumped in the chat. Hey boo,
what up, Nails? Hey boo.
But yeah, look, he said, I remember. But yeah, so they
crab down there, it tastes different. It don't taste like Maryland crab. I've had crabs from down there, it don't taste the same.
It's so funny because when I went to Atlanta, somebody tried to serve me a crab cake, and we were like, please don't. We were like, we're from Maryland, and they
that filling. That's
they
when I was in Atlanta. I was in Atlanta, and Abby was getting ready to order. One time we was somewhere, and Abby was getting ready to order a crab cake. I said, you better not.
Don't do that. You'll be so disappointed.
I said, you know better. I said that ain't gonna be nothing but filler, and even if it's real crab meat, it's gonna be filler. It's gonna be a bunch of filler. Don't do that.
Right. But yeah, so then we learned that, the aunts let us know. This is when we learned he had 2 girlfriends. Okay. Nobody was a wife at the time.
And nobody was the other woman. He literally was dating 2 women at the same time.
Okay. He said, I invented polyamory. he said, I brought this to the table. Now, basically they're like, well, do she plan on being at the crawfish boil? And they're like, well, yeah, why wouldn't she? And that's why I'm saying they like still cool with seeing her in person. They don't feel no type of way. Because if you tell me something like that, somebody been talking about me and I'm about to see him in a couple days. Oh, and I got time to stew and brew. Oh, you in trouble. You in trouble. And I was like, but granted, they're demure. They're mindful.
Well, see, this is where my cancer comes in. I can ignore you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I literally could be sitting across the table from you and it's like nothing. So I mean,
no, if we have a mutual agreement that we don't rock with each other, I can absolutely act like you don't exist.
No, we don't have to have a mutual agreement. I'm the only person that needs to agree.
Stupid. See, for me, no, because now if you say it, now we got walk it like you talk it. You had so much to say to Lakeisha the other day. Walk it like you talk it. Bring it on to the table.
Right. No, but what I mean is, because see, I don't know. I guess, see, I like to debate. I don't like to argue. I could debate all night long. I do not like a bunch of arguing. And from where I sit, my thing is I ain't about to sit here and keep arguing with you over some shit that we didn't already discussed. Like you feel how you feel and I feel how I feel. I ain't about to sit here and keep arguing with you. I'm just not. So my thing is they both Geminis. Who she's yeah. my thing is I'm not.
Oh my God, we got Gemini full Gemini chat tonight.
All these evil twins. I should have known. All these evil twins. Damn, not most of the family Geminis. Damn.
Woo, I feel for you, Chris.
I can debate all day long, but I don't like doing no bunch of. I'm just not. I ain't doing no bunch of arguing. So I guess what I mean is at the family function, family event, like I wouldn't be chomping at the bit to have the conversation. I wouldn't.
Right.
Literally, she would walk in the door and I just would not see her. I promise you I wouldn't. I do it all the time. It's somebody at work. We just went back to work on Monday. I'm not speaking to her. When I see her,
But it's only been a day or two or 4.
and she one of the administrators. I ain't speaking with her because I'm pissed off right now. And if I say something, it's gonna be nasty. So it's better for me to just not say nothing. Because y'all know I don't have no filter, but I'm thinking it comes out. So it's best for me to just pretend like you're not there. So that's what I would probably do with Nicole Mama. I would just pretend like she's not there.
Well, like they said, they feel like, one of the aunts, was it Charlotte? I don't know her name, but she gets a little emotional because, she's like, we didn't grow up like this. Obviously, they have the same parents. It sounds like that. Hey, Lemon Kush Pepper.
Hey, y'all. Hey.
They didn't, grow up with any outside kids that we know of, and their father just wanted them to be together and be a whole unit. And now, seeing this, it just makes her sad. And I was like, I mean, I ain't cry or nothing, but I was just like, I feel bad too, because it's like
I did feel bad. I mean, I didn't start crying either, but I felt bad because out of the 3 sisters, she was not the one I expected to start crying.
Right.
I did not expect her
I didn't
to start crying out of the 3 sisters. But I will say this, that scene did give me some understanding because I think before that scene, I know we've already said this though, but before that scene, I don't think I got full clarity on why the sisters did what they did. Based on that conversation, they weren't being messy. They legitimately were just trying to have a relationship with their niece. And what it sounds like, the
kids were around the same age.
Right. But what it sounds like is that they knew about Lakeisha from day one.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't sound like, because the fact that Lakeisha didn't start coming around until she was 6 or 7, at first I thought, oh, maybe they found out about her later. But it sounds like they knew all along.
Right. If they say your daddy had 2 girlfriends, that, like, I feel like they knew. To your point, I think somebody said it in the chat. Everybody knew what was going on. It sounds like.
Yeah. So again, the fact, I mean, I know this comes up later on in the episode, but I got to say it because it just keeps coming up. The fact that they gave you 6 years to figure it out.
Yeah. Nope. I hear you. Oh, look, here comes Xavier. They knew all along. And Frank told them not to go over there.
Well, they did it.
Right.
And I would have done it too. I would have done the same thing them sisters did. Because again, when we found out what we found out in this conversation was the sisters wanted a relationship with Lakeisha, but they did not force Frank or Nicole's mother. I keep forgetting Nicole's mother's name, but they did not force them to have a relationship with Lakeisha. They wanted a relationship with Lakeisha. They were bringing Lakeisha to their house. So again, I would have done the same thing.
Well, we see Granny's still out here rolling. They head in, okay? Trying to catch them riding dirty.
That reminded me of my listen, that scene reminded me. My grandmother drove until she was in her 90s. Okay.
Really?
Like, yes, we literally had to. I mean, I'm gonna say this in a nice way. We literally had to steal my grandmama car. Like, she was driving.
Oh,
it
wow.
wasn't. I'm gonna tell you. I mean, unfortunately, my grandmother, she fell and broke her hip. And she never went back to her house because my grandmother had a lot of steps. And while all of that was going on, that's when her car, we ain't give it back. But my grandmother was driving into her 90s and would do it. And we were like, and I would be in the car with my grandmama and it would be just like
Aunt Nikki.
Baby. And then even to the point where Aunt Nikki was like, stop. And she was like, I wasn't going to hit him. Girl. Yeah.
See, look, and I had to cut my grandma off of what she got cut off around in her 60s, 65, 67.
Child, my grandmama was driving, honey.
But yeah, so apparently they doing their weekly checkups on their properties. Because Aunt Nikki is her property manager. And so she asked about, her mom, about how she feels about the whole conversation that happened at the rodeo roundup. Granny doesn't want them fighting. And so basically she said she thinks it's too much. She doesn't think any of her kids or grandchildren should be involved, and she plans to sell the property. I said, well, and look, when Nicole said Oscar Ringo do what she want to do, that's literally how she summed it up in very few words. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm selling.
I blame that on Nicole, though.
Ooh. Do you really?
Absolutely. So here's why I blame Nicole. I'm
interested to hear this point. Why is that?
Here's why I blame Nicole. Because at the rodeo, Nicole purposefully went behind Jamisha. Is it Jamisha?
Yes, Jamisha, yeah.
She went behind Jamisha's back and had a whole conversation with the other aunts and pitched them a whole separate idea that she never talked to Jamisha about. Remember, every time Jamisha would bring it up, her attitude was, well, did you talk to Granny? Well, Granny gonna do what Granny want to do. Well, it's Granny's property. We don't need to be pressuring Granny. That's on Granny. But the minute you had an idea, you went to the aunts and you pitched your own idea without talking to Jamisha. So when Jamisha found out about it, that's where the argument came into play. Because y'all sat down and had a conversation, Jamisha and Nicole, and y'all could have had a unified pitch. You see what I'm saying? It would have avoided that whole argument.
Okay.
I blame Nicole. Now, why Nicole did that, I don't know. But Nicole, it really came off a little sneaky. That
do you think it was sabotage, low key? Because it does feel kind of like sabotage. Like I'm
gonna tell you what I think it is. I think Nicole really felt like she came up with an idea that would make everybody happy. And I feel like Nicole is I'd rather ask for forgiveness than permission kind of person. So rather than go to, it wasn't no Xavier.
I love Xavier. I thought I'd be playing devil's advocate. Xavier, you have taken the award from me. You are always gonna find the other side of it. I thought I was bad, but brother, you got it.
You know Xavier is my baby, but I'd be like,
I love it. Oh my God.
I feel like in Nicole's mind, she thought she came up with an idea that would make the G1s happy and the G3, whoever the G's are. And rather than go to Jamisha and have to go back and forth with Jamisha and argue her point, she was like, I'm going to pitch it. They want to agree. Because let's be clear, she had it until everybody else came in there.
Right.
She had the aunties on board. She had Granny listening. That Nicole did a good job. The problem was when Jamisha felt like she was going behind her back. I feel like she felt some kind of way, and that's what. And then here come Monet, want to know about the hair salon. Then here comes Justin. He want to ask about. See, it was too many cooks in the kitchen at that point. But had Nicole taken her idea to Jamisha, they probably could have sat down and come up with a unified pitch. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I say I blame that on Nicole.
Okay, and I can receive that. I don't know if she'll receive, but I can receive that for her. I can understand that. Now, we see Jamisha. She's having a meeting with the Sheltons about plans to develop Granny's land, even though she's already got the news that Granny plans on selling from Aunt Nikki. She's like, that's not fair. We still need to make an official pitch before she turns us down. So I will say this is absolutely beautiful. Chris, if you can get me an in on Heritage Oaks by the Braytons, you know what I'm saying? Wink, wink, cousin.
Wink, cousin.
Right. Because it looked beautiful. And I was like, I could see it. They go over the numbers and then they realize that, the dollars ain't sensing. You know what I'm saying?
The dollars ain't sensing.
Right. And so they would actually make more money basically just selling it. And I'm not going to lie, I love Jamisha's persistence, but I'm really interested to see how she's going to finesse or flip this, because if you show me this and you show me like we sell it, it was still like $20,000 or $30,000 more than what they would have made if they built on it, right?
So I'm going to say this. I want after the pitch, I 100% get it about
Mm-hmm.
selling versus developing.
Mm-hmm.
However, comma, the
It's about the
flips,
legacy.
the flips, it's not just, but it's not just about the flip side is, like I said, going all the way back to the first episode. The only thing that they're not making more of in this world is land. Once it's gone, it's gone. And I promise you that whoever buy that land is going to do exactly what they're talking about doing. They're going to cut it up and they're going to sell it. Or they're going to cut it up and they're going to build houses and sell them. They're going to do the same thing. So I get it from a monetary perspective. And you just, I mean, I hate to take Jamisha's word. Are you just looking for a paycheck? Yeah, it's a nice payday for the G1s. But if
Right.
you are talking about building and maintaining generational wealth, build those houses and either sell them or rent them. I don't know, but keep your land. And yes, you're paying taxes on it. Maybe there needs to be a conversation about how y'all divide the taxes up amongst the family. I don't know. But I do not agree with any, and I mean, no disrespect, Granny, don't come and get me. But I don't agree with selling it. I just don't. I don't agree with selling that land.
I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I don't know. After hearing the numbers, I'm a numbers person, and I ain't gonna lie. Even though I talk junk, I might have been one of the G1s and like, check please. So,
Right, but see a lot of the G1s. Let me tell you something that happened in my family. Right,
okay.
my great grandparents. Anyway, yeah, my great grandparents. They had land in Atlantic City before it became Atlantic City. Right, they had a house that my mom and her cousins and all of them, they would go up there every summer. They would spend the summer in Atlantic City in New Jersey. They had the beach. They had this. They had that. My parents had an opportunity to buy that land. They sold it and they split the money. Now, that was in the early mid 1960s. What happened in the 1970s with Atlantic City? It fucking blew up.
True.
That piece of land that probably had a basic house sitting on it, but it had acreage. Come 1970, whatever they started building up, whatever they started building up Atlantic City, that land probably quadrupled in price. Imagine fast forward, right? If my parents and their cousins got together and built a beach house on that land and just rented it out every summer. Fast forward to me and my cousin's generation, what would that house be worth? What would that land be worth? You see what I'm saying?
Now, I know a lot of people who have houses in DC back then, and that if you have $1 million houses
right.
at this point.
And look at all the people that sold off grandma's house during gentrification. That house that you sold for $50,000-$60,000
is now
because
worth
maybe it needed a little work. It's $1 million house now. I mean, I hate the fact that we sold my grandmother's house, but when they were getting ready to sell it, I wasn't in a position to buy it because my grandmother's house did need a lot of it needed a lot of work. I just wasn't in a position to financially buy it, and nobody else, none of my cousins, we didn't, But again, if I knew then what I know now, I might have figured some shit out. You know what I'm saying?
Xavier said you could have been a real life Uncle Clifford.
Not the real life Uncle Clifford. Down to the paint, gotta be running the paint up in Atlantic City. But again, and I don't know where. I mean, I never saw this house, so I don't know what. I'm sure it was on the black side of Atlantic City. Let's be clear. I'm sure it wasn't on the. But even the black side of Atlantic City was worth money when you're talking about the heyday of Atlantic City in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and during the heyday of Atlantic City.
Oh yeah, because it's about proximity at that point.
Yeah, and you figure, like, when you think about Airbnbs now, even if they just rented the house out during the summer, that pays for the rest of the year.
Yep. No, you're right.
So I mean, I get it. Don't get me wrong, I get it. But this is, and no disrespect, Chris, but this is where the show loses me, because you can't sell me on here's a family that bought up all of this property at a time when Black people,
couldn't get it.
Right. The 1940s, 50s, and 60s in the Deep South. And we're having this much controversy over something as basic as legacy and land. You see what I'm saying? I don't understand what I do, but I don't. Like, I get it, but I don't.
I hear you. And Chris said, make your money work harder than you.
Yeah. I mean, again, not to go too deep into my story, but for the people on my channel know my story. You know, they know I got sick. I was in the hospital. I had to learn how to walk all over again. I went through a whole lot of stuff. All of that was happening around the same time that we were trying to figure out what to do with my grandmother's house. I wasn't in a position to buy it. You know what I mean? Like, I was barely keeping up with my mortgage because I was out of work. I was out of work for like 5 months. And when I did go back to work, I went back to work part-time. I didn't go back to work full-time for like 6 or 7 months. Had it not been for my grandmother, baby, I'd have been in trouble. Okay.
Right,
My grandmother definitely helped me out during that situation. Because, you know, you go through your savings real quick, you know, but I just wasn't in a position to try to buy a house and fix it up to rent it out. Because that's what I would have wanted to do. Was I wouldn't have wanted to live in it. I would have wanted to fix it up to rent it out. And I just wasn't in a position to do it. But
and to Chris's point, I think he mentioned something earlier, but I know people who have sold off homes that are, you know, they were given because their parents, you know, or elders passed and whatever the case may be, and they don't want to keep it up and they sell it. But to your point, Chris, there, you know, somebody that needs to pay rent something somewhere that may not be able to buy. You can help out a family member, or like Really B said, it can eventually be an investment. But I get what you're saying. If in the moment you're not ready to do it, because I know with the property in Baltimore that it's something every other day. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. This again, this conversation goes left because me and you've talked offline about that. At one point in time, my cousin who has owned, at one point in time, she owned like 6 or 7 properties in DC. She's actually sold a lot of her property off now because especially post pandemic, a lot of landlords got screwed during the pandemic. And I get it from the point of view of people weren't working. People, I got that they weren't allowing people to be put out and they weren't allowing people to be evicted and that kind of thing. But a lot of the landlords got screwed. And so she sold off a lot of her. She has I think she only has like 2 houses left now in DC, and she does Airbnb. She doesn't even have permanent tenants. She does Airbnbs them. And they stay booked. I mean, the one house, it was booked for a whole year before it was a free week. It was literally booked a whole year. And then even then it was just 1 week and it was right back to being booked. I can only imagine what she's going to be renting them houses out for come inauguration, because one house is literally right on Capitol Hill.
Ooh, she's getting a nice penny off that. Not even a penny. That's a good dollar.
She's going to get a good piece of change off of that. Anyway, not to go too far left, but I understand.
We were talking real estate, girl.
I know we went way left. I do understand. I understand everybody's points of view. I understand grandma's point of view, granny's point of view, excuse me. I understand the G1's point of view. Well, actually, I don't. They're the ones I don't understand. But I certainly understand the Jamisha generation, because they're in real estate now and they get it. The G1s, I do agree. They just want a payday. They might have got offended by her saying that, but that's what it is. They want a payday.
Well, she plans to give her family this presentation. Like I said, I don't know how she plans to freak it.
I don't know how she gonna freak them numbers, because
that's what I'm saying. You gotta make the math. But hey, I mean, Cajun said I'm staying with Really B for the inauguration.
Everybody say they stayed in my house for the inauguration.
Really B, you better start charging for some rooms.
Right. Okay.
Right. You better start charging.
That's like the third person talking about something. I'm staying with you for the inauguration.
Look, Chris said, I say if you can keep it in the family, there was times when you got told no or got sold bad loans. Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like if you can keep it in the family, you keep it in the family. That's my opinion. That's how I feel. And I understand that Granny is paying a big tax bill on that land and it's not doing anything. So I do feel like there needs to be a conversation about that. I get that. But at the end,
what I will say too, not to interrupt you, but what I will say too is, let me just say this, because even now, and I think I've mentioned, like, I'm looking for like condos and stuff in Virginia and whatever. I know, even though I could do the house thing, I know mowing grass and like that, like everything that comes with the house that I'm sure you know. Not everybody's meant to be a homeowner. You know what I'm
No.
saying? And some people are great at it, and they, and unless you have a property manager or the tools, or you're gonna get out there and cut the grass yourself or plant get the fence painted. If a tree falls, you got like it's a lot of that goes into owning a home that I'm like, yeah, I just want my little square in a building somewhere that I own that I can say is mine, and like give me my little backyard, and I'm really good.
Listen, I tell people all the time, this home ownership shit is overrated. Like I love the fact that I own a home, but baby, even when it's little shit, like when my smoke detector was going off and I couldn't, like I'm short and I have a step stool, I don't have a ladder. And literally it got to the point where I just didn't hear it anymore. It just didn't bother me anymore because I was like, I keep forgetting. And one day a friend of mine came over and he was like, you don't hear that? I was like, what?
Right.
Like I legit was like, hear what? He was like, you don't hear your smoke detector going off? I was like, oh, I done tuned that thing out months ago.
Right. It's like,
a lot of
other things.
Like it bothered him so bad. Like he went out and got a battery and came back and was like,
that is funny.
We're fixing it now. And I was like, okay.
Chris said, and we got to stop kicking our kids out at 18. Teach them, let them save their money to buy or invest. I absolutely agree. Now I can't tell you that my child's father agrees with that. He thinks that if he is not going to go to school, he needs to go somewhere. He's from that generation. And I understand that because I was a worker bee up until the time I went to school. I decided to go to school. If I wasn't going to school, I was working. And I still had curfews and things like that, even though I was over 18. Right, but and I was made to pay rent.
Yeah, that's what you're not saying, because I agree with what Chris is saying too. Because let me tell you something: if my daddy, not my mama, let's be clear, not my mama, but if my daddy had his way, I would still be living at home. When I first started looking at houses, because I was renting a house, I was actually renting my best friend's house, and then she decided to sell because she had bought a house, and then she fell in love, got married, moved in his house, and she was like, "You want to move in the house?" And I was like, "Sure." So I was renting her house, and then she decided to sell it, and I didn't want to buy it. So I had started looking for a house, and I didn't find a house faster than she found a buyer. So I ended up having to move back home while I was still looking for a house. Baby, my daddy used to tell me all the time, you don't really have to go nowhere. You can stay here. You don't have to buy a house. Stay here, save up your money. I said, save up my money to do what? Buy a house, right? Well, I mean, you could just stay here, If my daddy had his way, baby, I would still be living with them. Now, my mama, like I said, my mama, on the other hand, was like, you talked to your real estate agent yet? You ain't
no. No,
I'm just playing. No, I'm just playing. No, she wouldn't have put me out either. But my daddy, like legit, my dad would be like, he would tell me all the time, you ain't see nothing? You ain't got to rush. And I did. I don't know when I lived with my parents, I paid rent. Now I didn't pay market. Like right,
you gave him a little, something.
Yeah, but I paid rent. Yeah, and I did have to, even though I was grown, I had a whole career, college degree, could come and go as I please. I still had to be respectful. My mother was like, "Listen, I ain't saying you got to come home every night, but I need you to call me by a certain time and let me know if you're not
coming." Right. Nope, I get it, and I agree. But see, I don't know too. And because I know you have a little girl, Chris, and I did mention that she's absolutely adorable.
She's a cutie, Chris.
But I don't know if it's different because you know what someone said to me one day, and I guess maybe I probably do baby my son a little bit. But that's just because I want him to know it's okay to be like emotional. And it was so funny. Somebody said, "Don't ever raise a man that you wouldn't date." And I was like, "Oh, and it hit different." I was like, "Oh." Okay. And I was like, yeah, I might need to think about that. I might need to think about that a little bit. And so, yeah, I might have to hold him to not I'm saying a different standard, but I might have to keep my foot on his neck a little bit more than maybe I would if I had a little girl. I'd be like, yeah, you could, sit up here and chill. Now we see Jamisha and the family. This is the last scene. They preparing for the crawfish boil. She said, all the family gatherings somehow end up at her house. And she explains that, what happened at the meeting with the Sheltons and to Justin. And so she doesn't plan on giving any details until she can finesse it, because she knows her family will have her head on a stick. Okay. They be like, see, told you, you know what I mean? So she's still trying to work it out. Now, what I loved, and I saw this, Chris, and it was really funny to me when you told Larry blink twice if he was scared of Nicole. I thought that
Baby,
was hilarious.
but wait a minute, but he blinked twice though. He was
No, but
like,
he blinked twice. But he blinked twice.
ah.
Um, Look, he said every time they eat crawfish, things go. Hmm. So then Nicole plans, so anyway, Uncle Bubba and Aunt Joyce arrived together, which is why I was like, oh, so they still together, right? Jamisha and Jaquita debate whether they should bring up the whole conversation. And they realize this is a great time to hash things out since everybody's here, everybody can talk. And so that's what they decide they're going to do. So they bring up the conversation at the rodeo roundup. Nicole obviously wants to move forward, and Jamisha can't move past the statement that was made. So Aunt Joyce admitted that she said what she said. That's one thing I can't be mad at Aunt Joyce. When they asked her, she said, stood 10 toes down. So I said what I said.
And I can respect that. I can respect that. Now I'm gonna do a spinoff, Surviving the Braytons. I'm not doing this with you, Chris.
Right. And so, Aunt Jackie said that she didn't want to get into anything. And, she just took her over her house, as we talked about earlier. And Aunt Joyce just feels like, it was Uncle Bubba's responsibility to initiate Keisha coming into their home. And I was like, I don't know why. And this is so terrible. It was definitely given like an earlier version of Kirk and Rashida or something. If you're keeping up with Love and Hip Hop right now, that's what it was given. And, basically Keisha still has questions as to why she was left out, why she was treated the way she was treated. And we, at that point is to be continued on to next week. And and we're going to get deeper into it. But your thoughts on that, really, B?
So I thought it was this is the part I thought it was very interesting when she said it was up to Frank to handle it. The girl,
I think that was a poor choice of words.
The girl was 6 years old. How long was it gonna take Frank? When was Frank gonna handle it? She was 6.
Mm-hmm.
She was knocking on a decade. When was Frank gonna handle it? That girl was in elementary school.
I agree. And that was, at the end of the day, that was his child. And that's why I said it makes me look at her kind of sideways, because it gives me the vibe that you were completely okay with them not having any type of relationship.
Which goes back to the statement I made earlier that she chose to accept the fact that he cheated on her, but she didn't accept the child. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. She was like, okay, I'm going to process that you cheated on me, but I'm not going to accept this child. That's like when I look at, I'm going to just use example. I'm going to use Ludacris as an example. When you look at Ludacris and his girls, you never know which one is
the outside child.
You never know which one is the break baby and which one is with his wife. You never know the difference. And
that's a great example.
Right. You see, you always, and when because I follow his wife. I follow his wife.
I can't never say her name. What is it? Exodi?
Exodi, I believe. I follow her on Instagram, and I follow Ludacris on Instagram. And when she posts the girls, she never makes any differentiation. As a matter of fact, one time she posted when they were younger, she posted them hugging each other. She was like, they never want to leave when it's time for, I forgot how she worded it, but she was like, when it's time for them to separate or leave each other, they never want to leave each other. And you always see the other daughter there. You always see. So that's what I mean when I say, listen, she knew that Ludacris had that, break baby.
Mm-hmm.
And when she chose to get back with him or stay with him or however the timeline went, she has chosen to accept that child. So I'm just saying, from Lakeisha's point of view, I get where she's coming from the aunt's point of view. Now,
little baby,
I think Frank was done with her mama, so she was done with the child too. A lot of men operate that way.
And to your point, little baby,
well, I don't think it was so much he was done with. It sounds like he never established a relationship with the child.
But I hear what you're saying, but to Lil Baby's point, I've even seen this situation happen, what she's saying, in marriages. And once the
Oh
marriage is
yeah.
over, and now all of a sudden your husband who wanted a kid, da da da, act like he don't know this child because y'all are no longer together.
Xavier, no, we're not. No,
What
no.
did Xavier?
Yes, she is from Africa, which, first of all, Africa is a continent. But number two, we're not going to sit here and act like that's only a trait that somebody from another country has. There are plenty of women here who accept the child. There are plenty of women here that do that. We're not going to make that American women just don't do that. Yes, they do. Nicole mama just didn't do it.
Well, that part.
And Nicole's mama ain't the only one either, but we're not gonna make it seem like, oh well, because she's from another country, that's why she handled it differently. No.
And he said, Kirk and Rashida are worse. Frank's just a ladies' man. Kirk is trifling and Rashida is mean. I give you
First of
that.
all, I don't believe. I still believe. Shut up. I still believe that was a storyline, but neither here nor there.
Well,
Chris,
y'all,
what happened to me before I met Quita? What happened to you before you met?
What happened to you before you met Quita, Chris?
But again, I just feel like I just feel like, and I get it. That's Nicole's mama, and she should defend her mama. Absolutely, absolutely. Oh, he had to leave because he was dating somebody that didn't accept his daughter. Right, and that's what, as a father, that's it. That was the attitude. But it sounds like there are two separate issues. It sounds like Lakeisha got a whole different set of issues with her daddy than with Nicole's mama, as she should. Because from the previews for next week, baby, it looked like there's a whole nother situation there.
Right. Oh,
Frank sound like he a piece of work.
Now she asked me not to have a relationship with. That's what I'm saying. Some people are really, it's crazy.
And there's some, but you know what the sad thing is? There are some, we've seen it happen where there are people who choose a relationship over their kids. We see it happen on both sides. Let me tell y'all something.
I tell you, I see it on Love After Lockup all the time. All the time. Choose men in prison.
Oh damn, Chris. Yeah, you got, it was a good thing you got away from her. That sounded like a psycho itch right there. And she had two of her own kids. Yeah, she sounds psycho. She sounds like a little
okay,
psycho.
Yeah. You count that as a blessing. Count exactly. It all.
You dodged the whole bullet because that sounds like a whole situation right there.
Okay.
So let me say this. Chris, close your ears because I'm about to talk about your people. So close your ears, Chris. Close your ears. Frank looked like he'd have had a rough life.
I didn't want to say nothing.
Did you read between my lines?
I understood what you're saying.
Okay.
So look,
I think there might have been some other reasons why Frank was not a present father.
Look, I get what you was putting out. Look, Chris said, nah. Okay, if you say so, Chris, but allegedly, I'm with Really B.
I mean, you down there, but I'm just saying what I see.
Look,
thinking it too. See, we ain't the only one. I'm just saying.
Maybe you know what they say, the stress. You know what I'm saying? The stress.
You say he was there. Now I'm confused, but okay. I'm gonna wait and see how the rest of it play out.
But Chris, being there and being like present.
Yeah, I said present. I didn't say absent. I said present.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are a lot of people
appear to be a lot more worn than his sisters because his sisters look good, right?
Yeah, I know people who grew up in the house with their father and had no relationship with their father,
right? And they even said that they said it. So not rebuttaling you, but they said that on the show. Nicole and Lakeisha talked about that in therapy. How he's not good at being emotional. He wasn't really, he provided, he went to work, and see, this is going to sound so terrible. I know functional heads. That's all I'm going to say. They'll go to work, they do that, but do they still do what they do? Absolutely. Absolutely. Just saying.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But I'm gonna say this. I know I reiterate this every week. I really, really like this show.
I do.
Even
I
this
love
conversation, I think is a good conversation. I mean, I hate it at the expense of their family secrets, I guess. But I
right.
think it's a good conversation because I mean, a lot of families deal with this, and I think it's a good
Mhm.
conversation. And maybe Nicole and Lakeisha are able to process their way to a better relationship. I don't know. I think it was the time and era now, Chris.
You ain't helping, Chris. You ain't helping. Because I'm sure they were born in the 80s. I would imagine that Lakeisha, maybe I'm wrong, maybe they older than that, but I'm sure Lakeisha and
I think they're probably in their mid to late 40s. So
you
they
think
were,
so? Am I
yeah.
giving them too much? I think they're in their late 30s. Like I really feel like they're probably
Oh no, no. Yeah,
I
late
think
30s.
they're
Yeah,
around the
yeah,
same
yeah. I'm
there.
sorry, I'm tripping. Yeah, late 30s.
Yes, I'm gonna give you that. Carlos King has struck gold again. Oh Jesus, that was a moth. I'm sorry, y'all. They just fall out the sky, they attracted to the light. Anyway, but yes, it's a very good show. I hope we keep it up. And hopefully it just doesn't, like we said, we just hope it doesn't tarnish the family, but we love watching. We're gonna come back every week. And really
Yeah,
be
I just again, Carlos definitely did. I just hope he doesn't fuck it up.
and not even that, but I can't even say that. I mean, yes, Carlos did his big one with this one, but at the end of the day, it's really the Braden family.
Yeah, it
We
is.
you
I
wouldn't
agree.
you wouldn't get what we get if it wasn't for their authenticity. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to them because y'all really are the ones that struck gold, and hopefully y'all just keep doing what you're doing. Add a little drama, but still add the family and keep it, and definitely keep the real estate because that's why we watch, right?
Yeah, and it looks like those interviews are starting to drop with Dustin, which I was telling somebody on the show. I was talking to them about doing an interview, and I was like, yeah, y'all probably have to go through Dustin first because that's Carlos's channel, that's his
Yeah,
YouTube.
right.
And once they go through that, then I guess they can start interviewing other people. Speaking of which, I know, Chris, did you ever send me that person's name? And I apologize if you sent it to me, but it was a rough week. I had to go back to work this week.
You're so funny. So really, B, before we get off, should we make the announcement about what we're doing, or we're still not sure that we're doing it?
Girl, which announcement? What we doing?
About our next panel.
Oh, yeah. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna look right now before I get off the phone. I mean, Lord, before I get off here. Yeah, we can make the announcement. So um after we're done with Family Empire, we're gonna roll into Love and Marriage Detroit, right? Did
Yes.
we say that? We said Love and Marriage
Yes.
Detroit, right? Now,
But
Love
y'all
and Marriage
see, did y'all see? I asked her if she wanted to change her mind because y'all see my. I think, I think
listen.
I think together we can make it enjoyable.
You didn't send it to me, Chris. Can you send it to me,
But
please?
I know last season it was I wanted to quit mid-season, so I'm
This
hoping.
season looks a little bit better.
Yes. So you know what? I think it's just going to be a little bit better because Brandon and Christina have finally admitted that they ain't meant to be together, and it just ain't going to work. I think. Yeah.
And you know what's funny was last year, I had inside scoop, right? I'll tell you off camera, but I had inside scoop.
Oh,
So
okay.
I knew all along that they was
Xavier said, "Oh God, not Detroit." So you ain't gonna show up, Xavier? You ain't
Xavier's
gonna
gonna be here. He gonna be here. He gonna talk his shit.
Mina said the same thing. She said, "Look, it was hard, y'all, but if we could come together every week and talk about how bad it was, at least we got, give us something. Give us something, okay?
Y'all made me start doing Love and Marriage Huntsville again. Y'all can at least come back for Detroit.
You're right, okay, because we ain't got no idea if when or if DC is coming back.
Child, DC ain't coming back.
Mm. But yeah, y'all.
I'm
So we
gonna say this: if DC does come back, it will be a total reboot. I think if DC comes back, Urana and Jamie would be the anchor, and I think it would be all
of
new
course.
couples. I don't even think Joy and Clifton would come back at this point. I think they'd want to. Well,
I was like, okay.
When I say they would come back, I don't mean they would choose to not come back. I think Carlos will reboot the whole thing.
This is a great question to end this off with, Chris. Where would y'all rank Family Empire? And it's so funny that you said that because I was literally thinking about this last night. Don't ask me
Rank
why.
it as far as what? What you mean?
Like, I guess, are you mean out of the own network or because that's what I was thinking about. And I said, it's so crazy because I know the last couple episodes of Love and Marriage Huntsville, the ratings have been declining tremendously. But I was literally saying, I said, I'm pretty sure Family Empire is taking over as OWN's probably number one show right now.
You think
In
so?
my opinion. I think
I
so.
don't really look at the ratings, so I have no idea what the ratings are looking like.
Love and Marriage Huntsville last episode only got 170,000 viewers.
Damn, that's Love and Marriage DC numbers.
Right.
So
their average is like 225, 240, 250 above.
I'm gonna say for me, where would I rank the show? I would probably put y'all on par with Bell Collective as far as Carlos King shows, because I like Bell Collective. I think
I never watched it.
Let me say this: I think last season Bell Collective was very produced. It was very produced. But part of the problem with Bell Collective is you have people on there that are not trying to tell their story, but they're popular.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying this just because you asked Chris and just because you're in the chat. For me personally, as far as I would say, my preference would be Family Empire.
Thank you, Xavier. I was getting ready to tell him I send it to him, but thank you.
Yeah, TV Deets. I would personally I like Family Empire out of all of Carlos's shows, and here's why. One is still season 1, and it hasn't been spoiled yet, I guess.
Right.
And I think that it's a really good balance of, y'all going to give us a little mess. Y'all going to give us a little silliness, and a little drama, but there's also some really good foundation stuff there. We see that y'all really do love each other as a family. There is a family foundation there. You know what I'm saying? And we are learning about real estate and we are looking at Black excellence. We are looking at Black excellence.
That's what it is. That's why I said he did his big one with this one. He nailed the Black excellence part.
He really did.
He really did.
Love and Marriage Huntsville is only thriving because of the drama. Like I've said this a million times when I do my reviews, most of, if not every storyline this season is social media driven. It's, you know what I mean? Like,
and that's what I love. Don't do that, Chris. I hate to say, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I ain't trying to be a Nicole in this situation, but
you know how I don't see a whole lot of them tweeting.
Well, I love how they'll clear stuff up. Like I said, Jaquita's been in the comments. Like people will jump into stuff and just clear things up. But I can, like Lakeisha jumped in the comments. I can appreciate that. But nobody's like going back and forth at each other. Nobody's posting stories about the other family member.
Yeah, and they're not trying to expose people. They ain't trying to tear down nobody's face. Like even when those episodes with Nicole and Chris, I didn't see them going back and forth in the comments and shit. You know what I mean?
They weren't on Twitter talking about each other.
And if I had to give y'all any advice, I would say please continue to do that. Whatever conversations y'all are having offline, just have them offline. If y'all in the group chat cussing each other out, keep it in the group chat. You know what I mean?
Right. Don't let us in the group chat. Because
the minute y'all bring it to social media and then it becomes driven by the drama, and that is how the families get torn apart. So yeah. Bell Collective is a cute show. I enjoy it. It was a little more produced last season. Yeah, it definitely was.
And see, I think
know the truth.
What happened?
He said, "Yeah, because Nicole know the truth."
Oh, you are so funny. But yeah, y'all. So
hilarious. I'm telling you, Chris, when I come to Houston, I'm coming to crawfish night. Nah,
okay, well, you can't go without me. Let me know. Look,
I don't know if I'm ready for the whole family. It might just have to be him and Jermisha and the baby. Cause I don't know.
Well, you mean Jaquita? You can't put him with a sister-in-law.
Oh shit, Jaquita, my bad. You know what I mean. You know I be fucking up the names. You know what I mean.
But yeah, we want to come and my it's funny, but my niece, Nels' daughter, is actually trying to move out to Houston. So we should she's trying to move out to Houston. So
we're gonna get you some crab legs, Chris. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but we're gonna put in some dry ice or something. We're gonna get
I was gonna say dry ice it. Dry ice it is absolutely possible. But yeah, y'all. So thank y'all so much for tuning in to this recap. We appreciate you being here with us. If you haven't already, whatever channel you're on, please make sure that you've hit that like button. and you subscribe to both channels, because we like to spread the love. We share a lot of viewers. And yeah, make sure you're following us on all the platforms, the TikTok, the Twitter, the Facebook, and the IG. And yeah, we will catch y'all next week for another recap
You
of
see
Family
what Chris
Empire.
said?
What happened?
She need a realtor.
Oh, no, so you know what? I actually I will reach out because I was actually sharing some homes that I've seen, or apartments, rentals that I've seen in Houston with Nels to send to her. So we'll definitely talk offline, because I told her, I said, "Oh, well, how cute would that be?" So yeah, we'll definitely look. He said, Jaquita got her. Okay. So we'll talk offline, definitely. Because yeah, I'm not sure what month she's trying to move, but that's her next move, is to move down to Houston. And I support it, because I just want to come visit. Okay. But yeah, y'all. So we'll see y'all next week. Have a good night.
I want to go to that food zone.
Right. Bye bye.